Welcome to day 4 of our daily Bible devotions. If you've been following the flow of ideas in the past days, what we have seen so far is that there exists a moral realm that is independent of human opinions or beliefs, that it is outside the system of human opinions or beliefs. Now, this moral realm cannot be accounted for on the basis of scientific laws. We have seen that, we have established that yesterday. So, we have said that objective values, in a sense, are objectively real. Now, what about moral duties? Remember, moral values and moral duties are not the same. So, we have established the objectivity because of the externality of moral values. Now, what about moral duties? Now, moral duties refer to that sense of compulsion to do something because it is good. We also said that not because something is good, everyone ought to do it, but we know that we are compelled to do something that is good, something that is uh, imposed upon us in a sense, something that we are obligated to do, like parents to children, or teachers to their students, or policemen to the vicinity that that they ought to protect. Now, anyone who is morally healthy feels quite strongly that he or she is felt compelled to act, to do something, or to refrain from doing something bad. You know this. For example, if you see someone in need of help and you are capable of helping that person, then you ought to help, right? You have that sense of compulsion. And when you see a person needing help, you are capable of help and you refuse to help, what happens afterwards? You feel guilty, you feel burdened that why didn't you help that person? You could have, but you did not. So it haunts you. That sense of compulsion, where does that come from? Think about it. The most common answer is that it simply comes from reason. Science is being accounted for moral values, but we have seen that it cannot account for moral values. Science is not prescriptive, it is descriptive. Now, reason is being accounted for moral duties. Now, let's see if reason can really provide enough basis or foundation to give us that sense of compulsion. Now, we're thinking, of course, it's reasonable to help the people who need help, especially when you're capable. Yes, it is reasonable, but is reason enough to give you that imperative, to give you that sense of compulsion? Now, it is true that reason plays an important role in our understanding of morality, but it is actually off or wrong to say that reason is all we need to account for moral obligation. Why did we say that? Let's examine what John Stuart Mill said. John Stuart Mill, he's one of my favorite authors. He's a legend in moral theory, and I like his idea of utilitarianism. Anyway, he described moral obligation or duty this way. John Stuart Mill said, "We do not call anything wrong unless we mean to imply that a person ought to be punished in some way or other for doing it, if not by law, by the opinion of his fellow creatures, if not by opinion, by the reproaches of his own conscience. It is a part of the notion of duty in every one of its forms that a person may rightfully be compelled to fulfill it. Duty is a thing which may be exacted from a person as one exacts a debt. Unless we think that it might be exacted from him, we do not call it his duty." So duty is something that we ask from a person as if you're collecting a debt, as if it is required of him, because it is required of him. And it is required to us, socially speaking, by the law. If there is no law, we we as a community, we ask it from each other. We tell our neighbor, why did you do this? Sometimes you don't want to bring your neighbor to the court, but you say that it is wrong for you to do it. We are a community here, we should act this way. That's how we think. Now, if no one else knows, our conscience bothers us. Our conscience tells us we ought to have done this, but we did not. Our conscience judges us. Now, that's what Stuart Mill is saying. Duty is something you can be rightfully punished for neglecting. And if you reason that something would be right to do, it doesn't just commit you to doing it. You may choose to do it if you want, yes, but if you choose not to do it, you're merely irrational. That's the implication if we're talking about reason. But that's not how it goes. listen to this, another prominent moral philosopher, Robert Adams. He explained it this way: to the extent that I have done something morally wrong, I have something to feel guilty about. To the extent that I have done something irrational, I have merely something to feel silly about. And the latter is much less serious in the former. Now, what we're saying, if it's just because of reason, that's why we're compelled to do things, then if we don't do it, we just feel irrational. We just feel silly. We just feel stupid. But if it's not reason, if it's something else, then the duty and the obligation that we ought to have done but we did not do, it has a deeper burden to us. And isn't it true? Think about it. Isn't it true that when we failed our moral duties, the burden is something that is heavy, heavier than thinking that it's something silly or stupid. Something silly or stupid may seem light, but failing to do what you're obligated to do, that's something else. Now, reflecting on all this, famed atheist philosopher Kai Nielsen, he wrote this: we have not been able to show that reason requires the moral point of view, or that really rational persons should not be individual egoists or classical amoralists. Reason doesn't decide here, according to Nielsen. The picture I have painted for you is not a pleasant one. Reflection on it depresses me. Pure, practical reason, even with the good knowledge of the facts, will not take you to morality. Now, that's an atheist philosopher talking. He's saying, reflecting on morality and moral duties, pure, practical reason, even with a good knowledge of facts, will not take you to morality. You cannot rationalize morality. And if you will just spend time to really think about it, think about the implications, the things that you have done, the things that you have failed to do, even the things that others ought to have done but have failed to do, it cannot just be rationalized. So it is not enough to say that it is reason that gives us our moral duties. Reason is inadequate here. This sense of compulsion or duty in morality is such a powerful pointer to the existence of a moral being who is in charge of the universe. We do have moral duties, and they make sense only, these moral duties make sense only if God exists.